We're watching the greatest counter-revolution in some 90 years. We have not seen any president try to radically change the political calculus and the nature of government since FDR did it from the left during the New Deal of the mid-1930s. People are angry about this counter-revolution for two reasons. It's succeeding, and it's succeeding beyond anybody's wild expectation. All of our cultural critics who said the universities would be destroyed by Donald Trump, that he would arrest innocent people who just happened to forget to get a visa, he wouldn't go after criminals, they are wrong too. So people are angry about this counter-revolution because it's working. The Democrats have a new narrative, the left in general does, that they are saving democracy from Donald Trump. And that justifies almost any means necessary to achieve the end of destroying or preventing Donald Trump from governing effectively. The problem with all of this is they are destroying democracy to destroy Donald Trump.
Welcome back to Expert Playback, your shortcut to the stories shaping America. Hit subscribe for weekly updates. The Democrats have a new battle cry: we're saving democracy from Donald Trump. But Victor Davis Hanson exposes the ugly truth. If you had to break every democratic norm to stop one candidate, you weren't saving democracy, you were destroying it. Tonight, we're going through the receipts on what really happened over the last 4 years, and why Hanson thinks the backlash is about to get much, much worse.
The intelligence agencies got 51 people, former intelligence authorities, to lie to the American people on the eve of the second debate to affect the 2020 election and claim falsely that Donald Trump was lying about the laptop of Hunter Biden, that it was fake, that it was a Russian production, and Donald Trump then was colluding again with the Russians. That was a complete lie. It was Hunter's laptop, we know, because the FBI had it in its possessions and on. So my point is, if you look at the Democrats, they have staged three great scandals to try to destroy the Trump administration and, by extension, democracy. They impeached Donald Trump twice. No one's ever done that. They tried him as a private citizen. Nobody's ever done that. They raided his home in Mar-a-Lago. That is a terrible precedent for an ex-president. No one has ever done that. They tried to get him off the ballot in 25 states. No one had ever done that. There were 2 assassination attempts during the campaign. That had never happened before. They tried to debank him and make it impossible for Donald Trump to write a check, whether from Morgan Stanley or Bank of America or any bank.
So Victor's point here goes way beyond just elections and voting. This was institutional warfare. What we're really talking about is this whole ecosystem that was working against Trump. You had 51 intelligence officials straight up lying about Hunter Biden's laptop right before the election. You had 2 impeachments, raids on Mar-a-Lago, and attempts to kick him off state ballots. Even assassination attempts during the campaign were on the table. This wasn't defense. This was a coordinated attack designed to destroy Trump before voters could choose. In Act 2, we need to talk about where all this power behind the Save Democracy narrative comes from.
He has a team that is devoted to his counter-revolution and, more importantly, to the symptoms of the progressive project. The symptoms of the progressive project are not just the Democrats exercising power in Congress or holding the White House. It's how they get that power. And they get that power through PBS and NPR, now defunded. Cable news and slanted network news, now under assault when they lie and defame and face court ramifications. The universities that indoctrinate people, now facing large fines, tax on their endowments, a renewed way of a new government attention toward student loans, $1.7 trillion program, surcharges, as I said, and segregation on campus in dorms, graduation ceremonies. The universities are now under scrutiny. The left exercises power even when they do not control government, any branch of government, and they exercise power even though on most of the issues, if not all of them, their constituency is only 40%. The majority of the American people oppose their agenda, and they do this through the bureaucracies, through the media, through the universities, through the popular culture, And these are the very sources that Donald Trump is asking them to reform. And the government is going to shrink. The government's going to get out of the media business. The government's going to take a hard look at universities who want and obtain federal funds. And we're going to see the counter-revolution, I think, succeed, with one caveat. We're going to see in the next year a frenzy, a frantic, almost out-of-mind reaction from the left, because they know that if this counter-revolution succeeds, it'll be very difficult for them to push down an unpopular agenda down the throat of the American people. So brace yourself. We're looking at the resistance coming up to the counter-revolution, and it's going to be fierce and unhinged.
Here's what Victor's getting at with the power structure and how deep it runs. The progressive left doesn't just control the government when they win elections. They've got this whole institutional network that keeps running no matter who's in office. We're talking about PBS and NPR pushing DNC hoaxes, universities indoctrinating students against American values, and cable news manufacturing consent for open borders and criminals. But Trump's counter-revolution is cutting those fuel lines through defunding, lawsuits, and civil rights enforcement. And the more he cuts those lines, the more desperate and loud the resistance crowd will become.
You have been the most vicious and the most abject subverters of democracy, all for the short-term gain of destroying Donald Trump. And now that's boomeranging upon you, and you don't like to see it happen to you what you tried to do to Donald Trump. And there's a whole vocabulary cross-culturally for what is happening to you now. It's called payback is a blank, karma, boomerang, do unto others as you should do unto you, only eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. But this is called retribution, and it's fully earned for what you've done to democracy, as long as it's legal and it's necessary. But you're angry because you're impotent, and you created false narratives that Donald Trump is doing what you have actually done. And what is that? Destroying democracy.
So what's the bottom line? The people claiming they were saving democracy basically tried everything except, actually having honest debates and fair elections. And now Trump's counter-revolution is working better than anyone expected, which is why Victor thinks we're about to see this really frantic, almost unhinged reaction from the left. When you break all the rules to stop someone and they still win, that's not democracy failing. That's accountability finally showing up. Subscribe for more breakdowns like this every week.
If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button so more people see it. And if you want more sharp takes on global power plays, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.